band called Crank, and we had a rival in town called Grin, and they were playing the Emergency where we were just hired to play, and I went to see them, and I said, wow, these guys are really good, I love them. I went up and talked to Bob, the drummer, and he was just like the nicest guy I'd ever met. I'm like, wow, no haughtiness, no ego, nothing. He was just a great guy, and he supported me, and when I found myself temporarily homeless in the mid-'80s, we won't discuss that, but he and Joey Triplett actually offered, and Timmy Foster offered the Home for Wayward Boys for me to stay in, and it was a life-changing experience. However, I must say I'm still somewhat wayward. And Martha, his lovely wife Martha, is here, and she doesn't make a whole lot of appearances, and I'm so flattered and honored that she's here. She's the only rockin' singer, female singer that Switchblade would allow on stage other than Deanna Bogle. Not that we're sexist or anything, but we are.
Yeah, I was going to say, yes you are.
I want to thank the Nighthawks, who I met 50 years ago. Mark Leonard, Pete Ragusa, Jan Zukowski. Pete had a gig, or he'd be here tonight. Jan Zukowski and some shithead on guitar, I can't remember his name. But they were wonderful guys. They opened for my band Crank, and I was immediately like, ooh, I like these guys. And stayed friends with them, became fast friends with them. And lo and behold, in 2004, they offered me a job. And I had just left Bill Kirchen. I stepped onto their ship and never got my feet wet off of Bill's, and went on down the road with the Nighthawks and spent 15 great years with them, and they're just wonderful guys, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I just got tired of sitting in a van for 10 hours a day. That's the only reason why I left the band. It wasn't the music, it wasn't the people. In 15 years, we never had a harsh word, and that's the way I like it. Paul Bell, who is playing here today, give him a hand. Wonderful guitar player. I always enjoyed everything he played on stage. He never turned in a bad performance. He's just fantastic. And I hired John Previty so you guys could hear what a real bass player sounds like. I want to thank Tex Rabinowitz, who I'm pretty sure he was invited, but I guess he couldn't make it. And Ratso. Ratso invited me to join when I met Ratso, he was a bluegrass guy, and so was I. Actually, I was a rock and roller who had switched over to a national bluegrass act, and I was a ringer for Ratso. He'd get me to play bass in some festivals and things, and it didn't even require a rehearsal. I just get up there and play. And then a couple years later, he asked me if I wanted to play some rockabilly. I'm like, rockabilly? I never played no rockabilly before. And it was Tex Rabinowitz and the Bad Boys, and I went down to see them at the Coma Tap Room. They were fantastic. I said, I got to be with these guys. They need me, and I need them. And so we never looked back. Salute. Thank you, Ratso. And Tex. The Straw Boss crew, who were here, most of them. Monica, raise your hand so they can see who you are. Monica and her husband Kenny, and Debbie and Dave. When I met Jana, I was working at a place called the Straw Boss, spinning records. I wasn't playing music, I was a DJ on Sunday and Monday nights. And Jana worked most of those Monday nights. She was the head bartender at the Straw Boss, I believe. And along with Kenny, who was a bartender there. Monica, I think, was a server. And anyway, I didn't speak to anybody at that club for a full year. I'd go in there and I'd spin my records, keep my mouth shut, and go home. And then one night, I walked up to the bar to get a drink, and it wasn't an alcoholic drink because I wasn't having those at the time. Believe it or not, it actually took a year off. But it's probably why I'm still here today. My liver gave me a break. But anyway, so I started talking to Jana, and 2 months later we were married. What can I say? Everything changed at the Straw Boss. And we're still fast friends with Monica and Kenny and Debbie Day and Linda Sand. Those guys went over to Kangaroo Katie's, and that's where they met Linda and Fred and those guys. And so they're still our friends after all these years later. And thank you so much for being part of this evening. Next, I want to thank Bill Kirchen and Jack O'Dell. Bill asked me. We had problems with Dave Elliott, not musical problems, but he was large. He needed his hips replaced. He couldn't fly. We were going back and forth to Europe, so we were having to get somebody in Europe. He says, we need a drummer, and you pick him because I don't know anything about drums or drummers. And I said, okay. So I heard Jack O'Dell playing a gig. I can't remember when or where it was. I said, that's our guy.
Thanks a lot, Johnny.
You're welcome, Jack. And since then, I've been playing. I played with him for 12 years with Bill Kirchen, and now he's our drummer in the Thrillbillies, and I'm delighted to be back with him. And we're playing with Bill Kirchen again whenever he's in the region. So I want to thank those guys. The Thrillbillies, of course. Speaking of the Thrillbillies, we got Andy Rutherford here and Jack O'Dell. David had a gig. David Kitchen had a gig tonight. Couldn't be here. Yeah, he's portraying Buddy Holly tonight, and who's a better person to do it than David Kitchen? He looks like his son or grandson. But anyway, these guys put up with me for the 15 years that I was riding the roads with the Nighthawks and would come home to play Thursdays with the Thrillbillies and any other gig we could jam in, and I'm sure they were frustrated by that schedule, but they're still there, we're still kicking and picking, so thank you guys for standing in there with me. Appreciate that. And Andy's the only guy, the only musician I think in here that actually has a day job. Kelly Bell still has a day job, actually. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but he has to juggle all those balls, the day job balls, the rock and roll balls, and coming home late at night balls. And bless his heart, yeah, it takes balls to do that. So thank you, Andy, for putting up with me and for juggling all those balls. The Kelly Bell Band. Yeah, a few of those guys are here tonight, including Kelly Bell. I want to thank them for proving me that a great band can also be a family. And they travel the world, serving those who serve us in the military. And I can't say enough about these guys. They're like family to me. I never played in their band except for little one-off jams and things. They actually recorded one of my songs, which honored me to no end. I'm so flattered and amazed, and I love their arrangement of it. But not only do they tour around, helping, playing for the service members out in places where it's 110 in the shade, but they're standing firm in the face of increasing racism by being inclusive of everybody, any race, any age. And salute, they got love. I want to thank my family, my kids, Sky, Vicky, who's here today, and my eldest son, John, who I just met 2 years ago, oddly. I know, long story. Buttonhole me at a gig sometime, I'll tell you about it. Between the three of them, they've delivered 8 grandkids and 2 great-grandkids.
Wow.
And I just found out about the great-grandkids this year. Apparently I've been a great-grandfather for about 8 years. Who knew? And I wasn't even barely 60 yet. Jeez. Last of all, I want to thank Kim Granger and Jana Banana, my lovely bride. Kim, or Zabine as we call her, flew up here from Florida to help Jana with this endeavor here. And they've been hard at work at it for the entire time she's been here, while I just sat there watching football. They were selecting photos of me for that little arch over there, so you could laugh at my pictures, and coordinating with the Stanford Grille here to pull off this marvelous party, which, again, I'm so blown away that y'all are here, and I'm glad you are, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. But what a gal. Here's my wife. Spent her time and her money to throw me a birthday party on her birthday. Is she the best or what? My wife. I think I'll keep her.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. That's all I got to say. Thank you so much. 70 more years now.